My name is Big Time, and we are going to cover the absolutely useless men's march in Chicago. Useless. Absolutely useless. While we're waiting, hopefully, for my co host, Miss Wicked and Wise, to jump on, I just reached out. Let's cover a story from Redux. Now we have a website, so whenever some lefty dumbass says to you, "That's not happening. That's not happening. They're not putting women, they're not putting men in women's prisons. That's not happening." I got a website that covers every single prisoner in the United States and Europe. Suck it. Transgender killer demands taxpayer funded surgery, blames dysphoria for crimes. That's right, mental illness. You ever notice that whenever someone gets a mental illness, it's never when someone who's built an orphanage or decides to give all their money to charity and then blames it on mental illness. They only seem to blame mental illness after they commit violent crime. Isn't that interesting? We'll be going back and forth to see if Wicked is jumping on. I'm going to reach out to her one more time before I start, so give me a sec. Covering some Ducks news. Hope to see you there. I gotta get a better way of reaching out to her. She's usually coming off her shift at this point, so hopefully she's able to join us today. She had to work last time. Anyway, back to Redux. A prisoner who identifies as transgender is requesting taxpayer funded gender affirming care through the national healthcare system in Scotland. Paris Green, 30, whose birth name is Peter, Peter Lang, like Wang, is currently being held in the women's section of Edinburgh's Salton jail, where he is serving a life sentence for murder. Oh, well, so he gets to be around female prisoners, and when he kills them, they'll be all surprised. Oh, we had no idea. Green is seeking to become the first prisoner in the UK to have the full procedure euphemistically referred to as sex reassignment surgery on the public dime. In 2013, Green was one of the three men found guilty for the torture and murder of 45-year-old Robert Shanklin. Green, along with two other men who invited Shanklin, 45, to a party at Green's residence in Glenrothes, Fife, in March of 2013. Once Shanklin arrived, the men tied him up, then beat and tortured him for 7 hours. Shanklin was also sexually assaulted with a rolling pin before he died as a result of other suffocation or blunt force injuries. The three killers then sold Shanklin's mobile phone for £26 and spent the money on sandwiches, which they ate at the scene of the crime as Shanklin took his final breaths. Okay, so this person just needs to have a millstone tied to them and thrown in the fucking sea. This person you can't save this person. You're done. When sentencing the trio at the High Court of Glasgow, Judge John Morris called the crime utterly depraved, stating, "This was a particularly gruesome murder which effectively involved the torture of your victim over many hours. It beggars belief that you could act towards another human being in this way." Upon conviction, Green was initially detained at Cortons Vale Women's Prison, but was transferred to the Women's Ward in Edinburgh after only 5 weeks in detention because he repeatedly engaged in sexual relations with the female inmates. Wow, no way. You mean a guy with a dick around women was able to act like a guy with a dick around women? That's amazing. Speaking to the Daily Record from jail, Green said that he regretted committing the inexcusable crime and insisted that undergoing genital surgery would help him become rehabilitated. He blamed his anger over his identity for his violent actions and said he felt disgusted by his genitals. Ah, yes. So you couldn't take it out on yourself. Right. So it's this other guy's fault that you hate yourself. Well, just kill yourself then. Why do you got to attack other people? What did that guy do to you? Nothing is more important to me than becoming fully the person I should have been. I want to feel comfortable in the shower rather than feeling repulsed. Having male genitals feels wrong. When asked why he committed the brutal murder, he said, It was inexcusable. All I can say is I had a really awful. Oh, I'm the victim. That's right. I was carrying a lot of anger inside me even before I realized I should have been a woman and that made me more angry. Green initially began taking hormones in 2011. Yeah, that couldn't be it, right? It couldn't be the drugs we're giving this motherfucker, right? Can't be the drugs. Hey,
Hey.
what's happening?
Oh, nothing. Just I'm listening.
Uh, how was your weekend?
Sucky, but it's okay.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming back on. I know work can suck. Do you want me to finish this story and then we can cover the Chicago Men's March?
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm listening.
So, Wicked has jumped on, and this is the website Redux. So, whenever somebody says to you, "Oh, they're not putting men in women's prisons," refer them to this website. This covers every single person in Europe and the United States. So let's see. Green initially began taking hormones in 2011 and met with a surgeon at Nuffield Clinic in Brighton in 2020, but the medical professional delayed the procedure after expressing concern for the safety of other patients on the ward due to the nature of Green's sadistic crime. Interesting. So started taking experimental hormones, and then 2 years later, he tortured someone, and they're not gonna talk about the drug connection, which seems pretty obvious to me. Let me see. Shank, what does it say? 5 years down the line, a journalist chaps the door to notify us of this. I would again like to clarify, the same as I said before, we are not against transgenders or their rights. However, we feel due to the nature of his crime and the brutality of my uncle's murder that Paris Green should serve his time in a male's prison as a male and receive whatever treatment he wants once his time is served. I cannot stress enough the distress these people have brought on our family, and we will try our best not to have this operation stop completely, but that he serves his time first. Again, we have been in touch with local members of parliament, and hopefully we will be more successful this time around. We have been advised to start another petition, which will follow soon. Thank you. My uncle's murder. So this guy's speaking out again. Wow, so this is the family. These people have brought on our family. I wonder what that means. Shanklin's family members have for several years campaigned against Green being housed with women, as well as being permitted to receive state-funded medical interventions. 2018, the estimated cost to taxpayers for Green's surgery was said to be £20,000. Over the past decades, relatives of the victim have launched petitions and contacted representatives to state their case. One petition created by Lay Robb states, I think I read all that. This man has said that he said he should not be rewarded for his brutal crime and should serve his time in a man's prison. Yeah, I think so. Family members spoke with the Daily Mail in 2018, detailing their objections to Green's placement in a women's prison and to his potential surgery. Pauline Bell, Shanklin's sister, said he should not be getting the operation on the NHS. It's not life-saving treatment. He took somebody's life away and destroyed a family. Shanklin's mother told the press, Green doesn't know the meaning of the word remorse. He shouldn't get the operation, especially when so many people need vital treatment and they're not getting it, but the authorities are jumping through hoops for him. Yeah, correct. The only protected class above black men. Shanklin's family also set up a Facebook page, Justice for Robert Shanklin, where they shared updates and attempted to gain support for their efforts. On one post from 2013, a woman who claims to have been housed in Corton Vale with Green during the 5-week period he was there commented in support of the victim's family, saying that the convicted murderer told her how he had committed the grotesque slaying, so he's bragging. She also claimed that Green threatened to kill himself should he be sentenced to life in prison. Well, go ahead. I'm not going to miss you. If you were afraid of going to prison, why did you torture the dude? Again, another instance of someone claiming to be the opposite gender so they can have an easier time in prison. Using a mixture of both masculine and feminine pronouns, she said that Green was vile to the core and that he selectively took hormones like a game he was playing with the staff at the women's prisons. It's always going to be a game to Paris. I can never forget. I hate him with a passion, the former inmate wrote. Another former prisoner detained with Green similarly remarked, when I first went in, he looked, talked, and acted like a woman. but he had a spell where his behavior changed. It seemed like he was having doubts, had stopped taking the hormones, and was growing facial hair again. He was also sexually active, and everyone knew it. He had at least one girlfriend. Still, another anonymous insider told the media that Green was notorious for having sexual relations with female inmates, adding, "He didn't seem to be acting much like a woman to me." At the end of January, following a slew of violent male criminals claiming to identify as women and some requesting housing in the women's estate. Wow, the conservatives called this 5 years ago. The UK Ministry of Justice updated its transgender prisoner policy. The new framework restricts male inmates with intact genitalia or those who have been convicted of a sexual offense from being placed in women's prisons. Wow, they did something. In February, the Scottish Prison Service confirmed that newly convicted or remanded prison inmates will initially be placed in jails according to their sex at birth. Wow. How many women had to suffer for them to do something? Speaking with the Daily Record, Dr. Kate Coleman of the campaign group Keep Prisons Single Sex said Green, who was serving sentence for torture and murder, would, under the new Ministry of Justice policy, been held in the male estate. We hope the Scottish Prison Service will similarly place the safety of women at the center of their revised policy when the policy is finally released. Last paragraph, a report from the Times in 2018 revealed that a senior official of the Scottish Prison Service, Gordon Pike, who was one of those responsible for its gender identity and gender reassignment policy, would turn out to be a sex offender himself, having hoarded 22,000 indecent pictures of children. Now, I'm going to extend one olive branch here. I do have a right-leaning source saying that a woman who was a husband of a Republican was arrested, and later it was believed that cheese pizza, do you understand what that is?
No.
Do I have to say child, PORN?
Okay. All right. Gotcha.
Cheese pizza she claims that the FBI planted cheese pizza on her computer. Now, I would certainly believe the way that laptops can disappear and suddenly can't be found, like our president's son's laptop. So my personal thing is I'm now past the point of even supporting the police. I don't even support police anymore. I want to see the video. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think with video cameras, I think they were 50-50. I think they were 50% bad for police because they showed how police have the upper hand on you when you're in court, because judges before Floyd would typically lean towards the police. Oh, you're a cop. You represent the system. I'm going to give you a higher benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
However, the other 50% is I think it became bad for normal people, particularly black men, because when you get pulled over for a traffic ticket and then you get out of the car and punch the police officer in the face, and then you're surprised when you get shot. I think it was 50-50.
I like the fact that cops have the that they have the cameras on them.
Sure.
Okay, first of all, it's going to make them, in theory, it's going to make them behave professionally. And also, it's going to protect them from nonsense, from these thugs, from these criminals that act crazy. I have been watching some of the videos on YouTube, where cops are pulling people over. People are crazy as hell.
This is true.
I'm like, when you actually watch what cops have to put up with like nutso people, you're like, okay, I could never do this job, because they really are in the trenches with crazy ass people.
If you want to cover this, this was a big thing with the Jacob Blake shooting, and also the Rashard Brooks. And we actually have a famous case in Pennsylvania. I don't know if I want to. We can cover that at some time. I'm totally willing to jump into that. You had a case where 2 state troopers pulled over a black guy, and they had their guns on him, and you could see that they were afraid to shoot him. He runs around the car, reaches into the car, pulls out a gun, and shoots both of them. and then takes off. So the gun was actually in the car door. And they both had their guns trained on him and they were following him. And he reaches in the car, turns around, open fire, and shoots both of them. And I think he killed one and critically injured the other.
That's insane.
So whenever people say, how could you shoot an unarmed person? Easy. Like,
Were they actually unarmed?
he was unarmed at the time, and they were trying to arrest him. But again, like the Rashard Brooks, he was on drugs.
Mm.
I have the toxicology. See, this is another thing that people don't understand with the cameras. With the Rashard Brooks shooting
Mm-hmm.
at the Wendy's in Atlanta,
Yeah.
his toxicology report showed that he was on cocaine, MDMA, ecstasy, and he had 3 beers in his system. But so that's I mean, have you ever seen someone who's on drugs get punched in the face? If you want a good example, you can watch the Rashad Evans fight versus John Jones.
Mm-hmm.
John Jones was on coke, and he was also taking there's a lower form of not there. D-ball is a powerful steroid that was famous in the 60s and 70s.
Mm-hmm.
He was taking a less potent version of it, not D-ball, another version. But you see Rashad Evans punch him in the chin and uppercut him, and John Jones' head rolls back, his eyes roll in the back of his head, and then he just stands right back up and keeps fighting. And he was on cocaine. And Rashad Evans is known to one punch guys and knock them unconscious. So the only option you have when someone's on drugs like that is, you could shoot someone, and if you don't shoot them in a vital place, it's not going to work,
Yeah, you're
And
gonna have a monster on your hands.
and that's the way the cameras worked against Rashad Brooks, because the cops tried to let him go because they didn't want to deal with it. And the first cop said, "Hey, just pull over there." And Rashad Brooks gets in the car, drives out of the parking lot, and swerves into the grass. And it's on camera. So now legally he's responsible, that if he lets him go and he crashes, they're going to say, "Oh, well, why didn't you do something?" And then at that point, he had to call a cop who specialized in like sobriety checkpoints.
Mm-hmm.
And then it all just went downhill, like like they had to do a half hour of this guy just failing test after test after test. And if they didn't have the camera, I believe the cop could have lied and said, "Yeah, bro, look, just go home. I don't feel like dealing with it." But now that he has the guy on camera swerving out of the parking lot and almost crashing a car while trying to park, it's like now legally he has to do something.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know what to say. I think cameras are a great idea, but to me, it's a double-edged sword. It's like now the cops have to be perfect, and
Yeah.
but I don't.
Yeah, they do, because they're on can't. Hey, look, where I work, we have cameras everywhere, everywhere. But nobody really looks at what's going on unless there's an issue. Then they'll roll the tape back. But we have cameras everywhere.
Do you work at the type of place that is on your side or the side of the patients?
Uh, Neither. Where I work, they're on the side of businessmen.
Hmm,
They don't give a shit about us, and they don't give a shit about the patients. Okay,
that's a
not
shame.
at all. They care about the bottom line. And the only reason what they do for the residents, what they do for the patients is what they have to do. As far as ups and extras, very, very few.
Here, give me 1 second. I'm just gonna. All right, there we go. Adjust my mic there.
Yeah, I work for a medical business.
Okay.
emphasis on business.
Look, I believe in DZ's policy. You don't have to go too far. If you just want to give like a generalization, that's fine.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I do. I work for a medical business, and that's how I treat it. I I was surprised when I changed professions and I went into the profession that I went into. The attitude, I was shocked. But you know what? I do my thing. I do what I do because I love it. I take care of people, and it makes me feel fulfilled.
That's cool.
So that's what I do. If I didn't like what I did, I wouldn't do it because I have options. I have an education. I can move around.
Okay.
So
I
but
mean,
that's
I
but
hope.
that's just that.
I mean, I hope it. Look, I hope it works for you. I know it's
It works for me because I'm 5 years from retirement.
Yeah,
So
that AARP card coming in.
hey, I've had my AARP card since I was like 50. So
Oh, okay.
I want my discount at Denny's.
Oh man, Denny's. That's so much sodium.
But
Please,
yeah,
please
you
don't eat at
know,
Denny's.
you know what? Actually, I
S-
don't. I
Especially,
live in a food town. I eat real food.
I mean, no, I mean, look, you're an African American. You guys tend to have higher nitrous oxide, and you tend to have what is it? Heart disease and atherosclerosis. You tend to have a higher amount of.
Oh yeah. You know what? It's the cuisine that we grow up with that is killer. Okay, this is gonna sound controversial, but this is not from me. This is actually from my brother, from
No,
one of
it's
my
okay.
brothers. One of my brothers calls most African American food. He calls it slave food,
Oh, Jesus,
and
that's funny.
I told you my family is divested. He calls it slave food. He's like, and that slave food will kill you.
Why does he call it slave food?
Because a lot of it did come from slavery. They had to make do with what they had. They created a whole cuisine of what was available, and tried to make it palatable. Well, what here, all these years later, we have a lot of things available to us on an everyday basis that, of course, wasn't available in slavery. Now we can eat whatever we want to eat. We don't just have to eat the scraps.
I'll have to show you that Chicago video where all the vegetables and fruits were left behind when they looted the Walmart.
No surprise. No surprise. They not trying to do a stir fry.
Oh. Speaking of Chicago, I got to ask your permission for something before I jump into this.
Okay.
So I routinely check out this channel called Chaotic Truth,
Mm-hmm.
and I like to use the term 50-50. He's 50% conservative, but he's also 50% Nigerian scammer. He based
Oh, that's a good combination right there.
he
Because he
like
can he can fleece a whole bunch of people.
well, he has a channel and he likes to have people come on and he likes he likes to do the thing the manosphere does. I don't know if he did it first or not, but you can pay people. He'll have a panel and a topic, and then you can pay people to cancel them off the show. So if someone drops $50, that person will be kicked off the panel for 50 minutes. And if you want to come back on, you have to pay $50 to match it. So he
Oh.
so he has a thing going where he'll have people argue, and they'll the more you argue, the hotter it gets, and then people start to pay money to kick each other off. So it's a nice little thing he's got going. And that's fine. It's his channel, do what he wants.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just funny with other people who try to come on and they want to talk like common sense and how to solve the problem. And it's like, he's not trying to solve the problem. He's trying to make money.
Right.
And that's fine. Do your thing, your channel, you know?
Hey,
But
that's his angle.
there's a Canadian who came on the show one time, and this Canadian thinks Justin Trudeau is like the next coming of the Lord. And he said that Republicans controlled Chicago and they're the reason why Chicago is the way it is. And I was curious. I asked him if he would be interested in talking to you because he's in Canada, but you're from Chicago. And I was like, would you consider talking to someone who's from Chicago? And I told him, we typically like stream around 9 o'clock. Would you ever want to talk to him and hear what his opinions are?
Yeah, I'd be interested. He thinks that Republicans run Chicago?
He said there was a 25-year period where their policies and everything is what destroyed Chicago. And funny enough, I just asked a female family member of mine, and they said the exact same thing.
No, absolutely not. I don't think that people outside of a city like Chicago understand politics here. Okay, and I don't think that a lot of people who aren't Democrats understand that there are very, 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 very super freaking rich Democrats who are conservative Democrats, and some of the views that they have do sound very Republican, but they're still very much Democrats.
You mean like Katzenberg?
Yeah.
Katzenberg, one of those, or
Soros. Right. You know what? Hey, we've got really rich conservative Democrats that run this city. I mean, from behind the scenes. It doesn't really matter too much who the mayor is, because certain things are going to happen no matter what. And that's why I'm looking at our new mayor that's going to come in. And
Brandon Johnson.
Oh my God. They are going to eat that man alive. He is soft like a marshmallow. They are going to eat him alive.
So since we're on Chicago, and I also found a video of I got a Philly video, and I was curious your opinion of another program that was started and what they talk about.
Okay.
And I also have the video of the Baltimore mom who's leaving. She's leaving Baltimore. So I just tried to grab a bunch of stuff that's happened in the past week, but I figured this might go more towards the divested angle, which is this is the response for the black men after all the kids ran around in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to watch it first and then we talk about it?
Yeah, let's talk about that, because I was looking that up last night.
Okay. Again, I'm trying to lean back for a couple of streams because this is about Chicago and you're the resident. So
okay.
Again, I'm being the good ally. Just trying. All right, here we go.
Gatherings forming in and around millennium.
I think this is DZ's main point about what you believe about the men of your community.
Park this weekend. That's the good news. Well, there has been a larger CPD presence and others coming together to deter another teen takeover. Fox 32's Nate Rogers joins us with more on the group marching for peace. Nate?
Half of Chicago's most prominent African-American churches collaborated in today's march, and they said they wanted to make sure that their message was clear to let young people know that they are loved.
Touch West Garfield Park. Touch Inglewood.
At Michigan and Roosevelt, more than 500 black men standing in solidarity for a cause greater than themselves.
I had to come down here. I came from Joliet, and I'm proud to be a black man today, standing out here in the cold.
Black man doing the work. Black man doing the work.
With signs in hand, men of all ages walking and talking about solutions.
What I think would help them is each man take one to learn that there's another way in life. You don't have to go that way.
How about take your own damn kid?
That they are not forgotten.
Go ahead.
Okay, sorry, that just came out. I'm like, how about take your own damn kid?
No. Go ahead, girl. Go ahead.
500 of them marching. Yeah. How many of them are married to the mothers of their children? How many of them have raised their own children? Look at the statistics. Very few.
80%.
But it's easy to get out there and march and act like you're doing something. You know what? Do something in your own damn home. How about that?
That's what chaotic truth does. When someone makes a point. We can play the video as many times as you want. You want me to keep going?
Okay, let's go.
How about this? I like this guy. Not this guy. The next guy.
We want to let our young people know that they are not forgotten, that they're not forsaken. However, there is behavior that's acceptable and behavior that's not acceptable.
The march down Michigan Avenue occurred as hundreds of police officers patrolled the area. It comes 1 week after throngs of teenagers were seen running in the street, some vandalizing vehicles and city property. 2 teenagers were shot. Tourists were also attacked.
Here's something that we've been missing: the wealth of our presence. They need to hear from us. We need to hear from them. And so we need to take time out to see what they're thinking, what they've been going through, what is the effects of the traumas that they've been going through and experiencing.
The group marched 2 miles, ending at Michigan and Wacker. If young people did have more resources, more opportunities in their communities, but also downtown, do you think that they would, behave differently?
I know it's a couple of kids I had that would, because I know, especially me and my homies, I know we would.
Organizing Pastor Charlie Dates says outreach will continue.
Now unto you be the glory, the majesty, the power, and the dominion for now and forever. Let the men of God say together, amen. 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 Amen.
And organizers at the participating churches say they have a host of summer opportunities available for young people. More information is on our website at fox32chicago.com. Reporting downtown, I'm Nate Rogers, Fox 32 Chicago.
And then, you tell me.
You know what? You know what I see? I see a whole bunch of baby daddies who didn't do their job, but now they want to pretend that they're actually interested in these kids. If they was interested in these kids wouldn't be running wild in the first place. And don't get me started on the Black church, because the Black church is as corrupt as the Catholic Church, as any other religious institution. The hypocrisy, the debauchery, the way everybody is sleeping with everybody up in the church. So the Black church has no moral authority to say anything, especially when they encourage this behavior.
I don't remember which, I don't know if it's Kyra or Ebony. One of them is a Christian, and they talk about, I know they have a horrible upbringing. Seems as though every member on that panel has been SA'd in some way by family or something.
Yes.
Go ahead.
When I talk to divestors, I cannot tell you how many of them came to divestment through trauma. Even some of the most hardcore ones really have been traumatized as children by being SA'd. And that's what drove them to it. Or as adults, having like these failed relationships with these guys who treated them any kind of way. Finally, that pushed them out of that malaise, that black male worship malaise, into divestment, into finally saying, hey, guess what? I'm not going to put up with this anymore. And I want to be happy and I want to be safe. But yeah, a lot of them, they came to it through trauma.
You would think it would just seem like I wouldn't believe there was as much pushback as there is for them just trying to value their safety, and value their relationships. And it's
like, how dare you wash, the dust from your eyes and see clearly? How dare you take off these rose-colored glasses and put on your real glasses and see what's going on around you? How dare you, what's the word? When somebody goes against canon, I can't think of it right now. But you know what? How dare you go against our religion?
Blaspheme.
Yeah. You know, how dare you blaspheme Black men? Because this is what is taught in the Black community. And this is taught over and over and over again. We have to band together because of racism, because we have all of these forces of racism against us. So we have to stick together no matter what. Even if the damn house is burning down, we got to stay in the house.
Okay, let's go with that. So, but if these men, so how, okay, so I guess my question is, if this is the Black community banding together, why didn't they show up last weekend?
If this is the Black community banding together, how come they're not actually looking at the root of these problems? Because this has been going on. This has been going on for so many years now. Now, COVID, everything just was blown out of the water, and they just came downtown and started acting real crazy because everything was shut down and these damn kids were bored and had no supervision, and so they started running wild and creating a whole new crime wave in Chicago. Where were these men then?
That's a good point. Yeah. Plus, the Chicago School Board didn't want to reopen, and it took them. How long did it take for them to have to reopen? Right.
Right. It took them a while because they did not, because they were like, we're afraid that we're going to get sick, blah blah blah. And the Chicago, the union here for the teachers is so powerful.
Powerful. Yeah. It's like the Teamsters in Philly.
Yeah, it is extremely powerful. But you know what? It seems like as powerful as they are, one of the things that they are not interested in doing is actually teaching the kids. They're just watching their back. They don't give a damn about these kids, and it's clear.
And I wanted to use this as an example of where were they or where are they?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was saying, so to me, what I see is the main reason they showed up downtown was because it was cold, which means the kids weren't going to be there. And every single cop was down. Is that the metro area by that park?
Downtown, yeah. Well,
And
so you know what?
Go
They
ahead.
have to keep a heavy police presence down there because that's where we make our money. That's where the tourists are, and we have business, serious business. Chicago is the city. We make money here. We're serious about our money. And these rotten ass kids are driving everybody away from Chicago. Look, they said they attacked tourists.
Yeah, there's videos of they committed, and there were 2 hate crimes committed, if that's the angle we're going to go with. A Mexican man was pulled out of his car,
Mm-hmm.
and a white girl named Ashley was attacked when she was with her Black boyfriend, and they stole her shoes. They stole his shoes too.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to show this as a comparison. So there was a 3-year-old kid shot on Sunday, and I didn't see any of the men return waving their anti-violence flags. So I don't even play this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Suffered in separate shootings on the city's south side.
Alyssa Donovan's joining us live from Comer Children's Hospital with the latest on that. Alyssa.
Yeah, Sean and Gaynor, a 3-year-old boy was brought here to Comer Children's Hospital Saturday afternoon after being shot in the face while inside a home on the south side. This happened around 3:40 p.m. according to police. That little boy was inside a home near 88th and Euclid Avenue when he was struck in the face by gunfire. The child was taken to Comer Children's Hospital in serious condition. A little over an hour later, police responded to another shooting in the 6600 block of Drexel Avenue in Woodlawn. 2 people were shot in that apartment, a 33-year-old man and a 6-year-old little girl. Police say the child was hit in the arm and brought to Comer in good condition. Community activist Andrew Holmes says the violence involving children needs to stop.
I hope that baby survives so he can live his life. And this little girl who's going to be traumatized too, she can get back to the fundamental things that she's been doing and continue to do, and his family can heal.
Interesting choice of words, fundamental. Like having men in the home, is that fundamental?
You know what? Who was the one pulling the trigger? the men in the home, right?
If I go by, if I go by the statistics for the black
Right.
community, it's every 17 minutes for a man, and it's every 4.8 for a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's the men who are, by and large, killing the women.
Right. Exactly. It's the men who are killing the women. But that is such a taboo subject to look at. They do not want. They do not absolutely do not want to look at that subject.
That's so.
They don't want to
so
mention
weird.
black femicide, and they don't want to mention who's actually killing us.
And what I'm pointing out is, these men appeared the day before, and then you have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. Well, where are those men today or yesterday, right?
I know. Where's the outrage for those children being shot?
Yeah.
There is none. There is none, because you know what? We hear this every week. We hear it so much that people are just numb to it. It's like all of the school shootings. We have so many school shootings that unless something really, unless there's something that's a real attention grabber.
It was a white Trump supporter.
Something. Okay, something has to stand out for us to pay attention to school shootings, because
It was
they're
a trans
so
girl.
So if a little black child gets shot, we hear that every week. What's new? How many of these children are walking around with healed bullet wounds?
Yeah.
Or who just passed away?
I guess I can lead
got
us
one
to
in my family.
Yeah.
So, it's so common that there is no outrage, because people are just exhausted by it. And also, it's also covered up. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about how bad it actually is. But if you want to get together and have a march and get yourself on camera and have a damn, sign looking like you did
black
something.
men doing the work. Black men doing the work.
Yeah, you want to do the work. How about marry the children, marry the mother of your children and raise your children? How about get a job and support your family? A lot of these problems are based in the fact that the black family structure is garbage.
Well, let's going on the solution. The channel Ak Nation News says there is no solution. There are no solutions, and he has that as a T-shirt now. But this is all right. So this is a Philadelphia youth organization called Yeah Philly, and then I have this Baltimore mom who's interviewed who decided to leave Baltimore. And there's just one thing I want to point out that I see, but I am very interested. Please, whatever feedback you have when you see this, is there anyone you want me to cover first? Or you just want me to go with what they're doing in Philly?
Oh, let's see what they're doing in Philly.
All right, this is the new program, another program. Just like how many rec centers there are in Philly?
How many?
170.
Wow.
Yeah. You know how many rec centers there are where I live?
Where? How many?
3.
I'm trying to see how many rec centers are here in Chicago.
I don't know. I can look that up, though. I can probably find that.
I'm not thinking that many. We have some, but I'm not thinking that many.
There's over 100 churches where I am, though, so they make up a lot of the the charity and the food, and there's a huge Christian outreach where I am, so very
that's
based.
good.
Hey, charity's real where I am here. Anyway, here we go. This is Yeah Philly.
On the show, what can be done about the violence plaguing our city, especially involving our young people? Already this.
Sorry, I can't control these ads.
this year, this school year, more than 100 students in the Philadelphia School District under the age of 18 have been shot, and over 20 of them died.
What do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, how many million people are in Philadelphia?
Ooh, hang on. Google. Population of Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia is the 6th largest city now. 1.576 million.
So that's a good sized city.
We're about, and Chicago's 2.697.
Yeah.
And do you want me to do the racial breakdown?
We've lost people in Chicago. Our population is declining.
You want the racial breakdown?
For Chicago?
I was going to do Philly.
I know it for Chicago, but how is it for Philly?
I think it's 44%. What's the racial makeup of Philadelphia? Here, hang on.
What?
Racial makeup of Philadelphia.
Blackistan.
Non-Hispanic make up 32%. 44% when including Hispanic black. What woke person created this Hispanic black? All right, white is 44, black is 43, Asian is 8%.
Okay.
However, if we go to the gun memorial for Philadelphia, it's about 90% black.
Of course.
Anyway, yeah, Philly.
The Philadelphia City Council, along with community leaders.
What do you also think that they don't talk about who those students are and who the shooters are?
Each other. It's the kids killing each other.
The virtual
I think I know the problem.
Hearing to come up with a plan. A nonprofit called Yeah Philly was part of that talk. They work with teens and young adults in the community who have been impacted by violence. And joining us today are...
All right, first impression.
Okay.
These are two of the kids, and these are two of the people who run it. This guy looks serious as shit. He looks so worried the whole interview.
Maybe he's genuine. Let's see what's happening. That's a kid. Was a kid?
This is 19, and I think she's 17, 18. There's two things I want to point out, but I'm just going to shut up and let me be co-host. Go, babe. You go.
Four people who are going to talk about this. Kendra, thank you for coming in. One of the co-founders of am I saying it right? Yeah, Philly?
Yes.
Like right there on your chest, James.
So you see they're chewing gum?
Uh-huh.
Thank you for coming in. And we have Tyler sitting next to me. Hi, Tyler. And Presley. Presley, you're 17 now? Yes. And you're 19?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk to you guys first. I mean, gun violence has touched your life, right? You were shot. How long ago?
Like maybe 4 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And like some people don't realize that what trauma would do to a kid at a young age. Some people don't know how to deal with the trauma. We don't have nobody there to be there with us to help us get through it.
How?
Anything or keep going?
Keep going. I'm listening to this poor child.
How early did you start getting in trouble?
Cool.
Okay. There's one thing I want to point out, but I want to hear what you got to say.
How early? I got my first charge when I was 14.
14.
Yes, and I've been on house arrest since.
House arrest since 14.
Since I was 14. I'm 19
now. When did you first have a gun?
I was 14.
14. Why did you feel like you had to have a gun?
I can be living the right life. I can have a job 9 to 5, be doing everything I'm supposed to, and someone would still want what I got. Someone would still want to envy me. You get what I'm saying?
So yeah.
Now, can I point this out?
Go ahead.
14 gun charge. So probably handgun. If I go to Google right now, Pennsylvania caught with illegal handgun, because you have to be 21, I believe, in every state to buy a handgun. And at any FFL, you get There are gun shows at the Farm Expo in Harrisburg, but all those guys have that little green iPad where you have to file with the ATF, and you have to in Pennsylvania if you do a gun sale without going through the state police and the FBI. So here, penalties for illegal possessions of a firearm in PA. Conviction for a second-degree felony in Pennsylvania carries a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison and a fine of up to $25,000.
Wow, that's pretty strict.
Right. What is the penalty for illegal gun possession and felony? Carrying a gun without a license is a criminal charge. You will face a first-degree misdemeanor or a third-degree felony. As a misdemeanor, you could face 2.5 to 5 years in jail and a maximum fine of $10,000. As a felony, you risk 3.5 to 7 years prison time and a $15,000 maximum fine. When I purchase someone's going to clip this and they're going to try to use this against me. When I legally purchase handguns from FFLs, it says in any FFL where I live that if you purchase a gun and give it to another person, you're not the original buyer. That's an automatic 10 years in prison.
Mm-hmm.
That's Pennsylvania.
That's pretty.
But not for black kids.
I don't know. They passing around handguns like you pass around Tic Tacs.
Or lean. Or what is it? Dirty Sprite or Purple Drank.
Oh, these children are just trying to kill off what few brain cells they have.
So I just want to point out, he had a gun at 14 and he got house arrest.
And he's 19 now. He's been on house arrest for 5 years.
Yeah. So he got a gun charge. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's the gun charge. I'm going to say it's more than that.
Go ahead. I didn't hear you. The mic went in and out.
Okay. I'm going to say he's on house arrest for more than just that gun charge. I'm going to say it's more. Because he wouldn't be, even though I know he probably had, garbage legal counsel, I'm going to say it's for more than just possession of a gun. My intuition says it's more.
What do you think about the fact that he only got house arrest for having an illegal handgun with as strict as Pennsylvania is?
I know somebody who was on house arrest. And, I don't know about, I'm really ambiguous about putting young people in jail unless they've actually committed a violent crime or something like really crazy, like arson, where you just got to lock this person up away. So I don't know this guy. I think
he would have gone to juvie.
If he would, and I don't know how tough juvie is because I don't know anything about that, but I know that him being on house arrest it's costing his family a lot of money. And they're willing to have him there. It's costing them money, all the running around back and forth and stuff. I don't know. I'm looking at him thinking, I know he hasn't got any kind of damn education because listen to the way he speaks.
He touches on that a little bit. I guess I'll keep going. That's the one thing I wanted to point out was the gun charge.
Yeah, the gun for protection. So how'd you get shot?
How did I get shot?
Also, he doesn't ask him where he got the gun. I hate that part. You ever notice that?
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you get the gun? Never ask him.
Being at the wrong place at the wrong time.
What were you doing?
I was chilling.
What do you think of that answer?
Gang bang.
You have fun. It's just like it's a normal day. Everybody have fun. You feel me? You go have fun. Something can happen up the street, and now I'm in it too.
What's his definition of have fun?
Exactly. Yeah. What's fun to him?
Because of where I'm at.
Presley, you were jumped over by the clothespin, over by City Hall when you were 13?
Yeah, I was 13 years old.
What was that about?
It was crazy, but I can't really like.
But you ended out on the street, so some girl dragging you around. And your family moved away for a while, but your family is now back. You two, why do you think we're shooting each other?
I honestly think we shooting each other because people think like that's the new way to go. Like that's the new way
Instead
to.
of using your fists, you
I
pull out
wouldn't
a
say
gun?
instead of using your fist because even if you lose a fight, oh, you feel like you got to retaliate because you lost the fight. When in reality, you lost the fight. Okay, nobody's really going to talk about it in the next couple weeks.
Social media doesn't help either, does it?
I mean, it doesn't.
Everybody knows like that.
Yeah, everybody know that. Then it's like when you go what you are what you go around. No, they're not gonna put us in. They don't got more programs like Philly. They don't got people out here that's gonna really go. If they want to change, they talk about it. But what are you gonna do to change?
Yeah, well, let's talk about that program. How do you explain? Yeah, Philly.
Right. So Philly is we're a community-based organization specifically for young people, 15 to 24. We prioritize young folks that are involved in the system because we also know that population, although they have been touched by many systems, DHS, probation, the resources and what they need are typically not prioritized from their perspectives.
What do you think about what he's saying?
Well, yeah, I'm listening to what he's saying. He seems like he's, kind of genuine and wants to help, but he's got one help problem.
Do you want to keep going? Or you want me to keep playing, then go at the end?
Go on, keep going.
Okay, all right.
You're talking about the system like he's on the house arrest.
Right.
So 14 years of age.
So for example, like he's currently on juvenile probation. He recently just came home from a state placement, and all of the support and resources that he should be receiving, he's still not getting them. So
that's where you're helping.
So that's where we come in at. And Kendrick could talk a lot about like what that even looks like for a person like him.
Talk to us.
So people come back from state placement or the juvenile detention center. They don't have IDs. They don't have their birth certificate. They don't have groceries in their house. Sometimes they don't have stable housing. So what we can do, even though we're small, we're independent from the system because we can spend money on these things and help take care of these things immediately.
For Tyler?
Yes.
And you would do it for Presley as well?
Yes. And Presley's been with us since she was 13, 14 years old.
You really think they're helping you?
I mean, like, they've helped me tremendously. I can't say in situations like Tyler, but for my own situations, they helped me like big time. And I've seen them help other
I'm big time.
kids like transform their whole lives into something else. Like, we could pull in somebody from Philly right now that's been with me in the beginning, and they could.
What do you think of this picture?
Yeah, it's
all females.
Yeah, it's a great picture, and those kind of situations, it's like the problems are so deep, but who's actually going to be open for change? It's like, maybe you can get some of the girls and pull them aside and give them opportunities, and they'll take advantage of those opportunities. But a lot of the guys, are they even interested, or is this just, this is the lifestyle that they've been raised up in, and this is the lifestyle that they want to live, a lifestyle of mayhem. The young man, he's 19. Okay, I got a 19-year-old. I can't imagine already that child's life is a hot ass mess. And maybe the reason why he hasn't done worse things is because he has been on house arrest and can't get out. Because obviously he was on target to do something. I don't know. It's the problem is so deep, but the base of the problem is there. But nobody wants to deal with the base of the problem. So you having people slap bandages here and there and here and there, but the base of the problem is still.
Can you give an example by what you mean of the base?
The base of the problem is the fact that you have so many families that are broken, that are garbage. You have children fatherless children. You have men not setting an example, not fulfilling their responsibilities. And you got a lot of women who are like, they're just at a sub level. They can't do it. And so what's happening is that the kids are running wild. You got fatherless children running wild. It's the Moynihan report pointed it out. How many years ago?
Monahan.
And
I've heard
better.
Cynthia G mention that. Cynthia G mentioned that report a lot. I don't watch a lot of her stuff, but she does talk about.
She talks
Let me
about
see.
it. You know what? He did that report how many years? Nothing has changed. Everything about
1965.
everything he stated in that report has just fleshed out. Now, how many generations later?
Would you want to cover that at some point? The Monahan report? We can look over that.
Yeah, because
I've never
that's
actually read that.
awesome. And it's, and the report is clear for anybody. It's not even really, I mean, you can apply that report to any race, any ethnicity. If you have if the men are not being used in their family and community, not children, and it doesn't matter who you are, what color, whatever, you're going to get this lawless. You're going to get all of these results. And if you never change that base, all of this stuff is just going to continue to happen. You're trying to what do they, close the barn door after the horse has fled.
So you related primarily back to family,
I
the
pull it
family, the
off.
nuclear family.
I I live in non-black space. I've always, once I left home, and I left home at 18, I have always lived in non-black spaces. And when I say that, I mean that sounds kind of like, I don't know how it sounds, but I'm living in other people's cultures. I'm looking at their cultures and how the family unit, what does the family unit mean? I just got back. I travel internationally all the time. I just got back from Mexico City again. And I'm looking at the people there, hardworking, doing their thing. I'm looking at the culture. I'm married into an Asian family right now. I'm looking at their family unit and the culture, and then I'm looking at the black community, and I'm looking at the Moynihan report. It should be like required reading for anybody who wants to have a child in the black community.
Can I piggyback off that for a second?
Please do.
So this is, if you're talking about the Monahan report for the black community, can I present something I think the white community needs to look at?
Oh, go right ahead.
All right. I recently just downloaded this book and I'm trying to read it right now. Have you ever heard of this book called Pathological Altruism?
No, but that sounds good.
Can be Pathological Altruism, and this is a book made up of a bunch of studies, and they interview psychiatrists and social workers, and it's like 400 pages, but I'm starting to read it right now. Behavior in which attempts to promote the welfare of another or others results instead in harm that an external observer would conclude was reasonably foreseeable.
Mm-hmm.
You help too much and you deny your own.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I see as a problem with, maybe you could say, certain groups of white people, or maybe certain sects of Christianity, maybe even certain sects of Judaism. And to give an example, where my daughter goes to a JCC, and I've been in their temple, and it's the only place that I can think of that has only white people on the walls, and no one's going to say anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're an ethnic people. They don't consider themselves white. They consider themselves Jewish. and
Right.
but they're very
They,
liberal.
hmm
They have posters all, and I've told you this before. They have posters all over their walls talking about trying to relocate Muslims into Pennsylvania. And I like to point out the fact that like the city right outside of Detroit now has animal sacrifice from the All Muslim City Council, and now Minneapolis has city sanctioned Muslim prayer 5 times a day.
Wait a minute. Why is it city sanctioned? Don't we have a separation between church and state?
No,
Mm.
because Jacob Fry is the Jewish leader, is the Jewish mayor, but he's a coward. If you watch any interaction he had during the Floyd, he's the white, he doesn't call himself white, he calls himself Jewish. He's the Jewish mayor that at George Floyd's golden casket, he was crying. Do you remember?
Oh.
Let me show you. Do you want to see that? I'm going to pull it up.
Let's see it, but I remember it.
I mean, this is just a side tangent. Let me see. Jacob Fry. I wonder if it's on YouTube still. Crying Floyd's funeral.
Crying over
I
a
wonder if it's. Yeah, hang on. Give me 1 sec. Let me and then I'll go back to the video. And we're going on a little tangent here, but who cares? It's our show. Do whatever we want. Here he is. There he is crying.
You know what?
So
that is a.
What do you go ahead, please.
No, I'm just thinking that's a great performance.
What do you think of a man who lets another group of people into his city and tells them what to do?
I you know what? I look at these politicians. I don't trust them. I don't trust them. I think every single one of them is
Disingenuous.
I do. I think every single one of them is disingenuous. I don't think any of them have a genuine bone in their body, especially once they get power.
Kind of similar to Lori Lightfoot and Mayor Eric Adams when they went to the all-black mayor's conference and they turned around and said that judges and DAs have to punish criminals. Did you see that?
No.
You want me to finish this and I can pull that up too?
Everybody had this idea about Lori Lightfoot. And you know, and my idea, I didn't live in Chicago when she became mayor. You know, so I kind of looked at her from a distance. And I saw how she came in and everybody just kind of looked at her like, this little lesbian, little bush lesbian, who was going to come in and like do certain things, and they just shut her out. So then she just ended up running around chasing her tail. And every time she said something that, that they disagreed with, like, she's the one who brought up having a curfew for all these black kids. Ooh, they wanted to run her out of town. And so she had to backpedal that.
Wait, say that again? She was
okay. Lori Lightfoot came up with the idea of having some kind of curfew for all these black kids because when they just came downtown, like, the other week, they done it. They did it in COVID. While COVID was happening, they were running wild here. And so she mentioned something about having a curfew for all these black kids. And they tried to run her out of town and she had to backpedal so quick. I don't think that she could speak the truth if she wanted to speak the truth. And I honestly, I think that the job is it was too big for her. The job was too big for her. Now, the guy who's the mayor of New York City right now,
Eric Adams.
that guy I want to see what kind of job he does because
Uh, he's already sold you guys out. What do you mean?
oh,
He's saying that they have to he's saying that he wants to give free college to the migrants and not the black community.
and not the black community. Yeah, because that's who he's appealing to. Well, they know that there's only so much power in the black community, and a lot of it is just kind of performative. But if you really want to get the real money and everything like that, you have to expand beyond the black community. And you have to do all these performative things. Look, Lori Lightfoot has filled up Chicago with all the different migrants, putting them in like, closed off schools and all these other in the neighborhoods and stuff. It's like, yeah, have you seen the homeless population here that you haven't done shit for? But you're bringing in all of these, you know, people from other countries and making sure that they have housing. What about the homegrown people?
I have that video, but I have that part of that video too. But here, do you want me to finish with the kids here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would totally. It honestly wouldn't bother me if a black person in charge said, "I'm going to put my people first." I would actually, I would stand behind them a lot more. You know what I mean? But as soon as a black person went up there and said, Mayor Eric Adams, and he said, "Yeah, we got to give these immigrants college tuition and job training," and I'm like, "What?" You know what I mean? It's like, wow, you sold out as soon as you got in there, huh? That's all it took.
But he never
Okay.
was. He never really was Mr. Pro Black. Not if you look at his record. Not really. No. 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 Mm-mm. But what I see is that everybody else, except like except these liberals, when they get in there and they get some power, they make it work for their community. I mean, they actually make it work for their community. But when black people get in there, it's like, oh, okay, no, we can't just make it work for our community. Somehow we got to, do a whole umbrella effect and pull everybody in. It's like, you know what? Maybe if we concentrated on our own community, we could actually accomplish something. But we can't do that because we got to be Captain Save a hold of everybody.
Yeah, I never expected him to turn. I just didn't expect him to turn around and go, "Yeah, the immigrants. What about your homeless people? What about the black homeless people in shelters? Yeah, the immigrants." It's like he just went full Democrat, you know?
Yeah. And that's it. He just, okay, this is the party line. We're gonna toe the party line. This
Yeah.
is Democrats say we have to say whether we believe it or not or whatever, just toe the line.
All right, let me finish this and I'll get to the Baltimore mom.
Right now, that's been with me.
But I appreciate you going with me on my tangent. That was fun. Yeah, we'll go over the Monahan report, and then when I'm done reading Pathological, if you want to talk about that, that's crazy.
In the beginning, and they could tell you like their whole life changed. And I'm not saying they changed it overnight,
Right.
but over time, that person living a whole new life.
Would you agree with that, Tyler?
Yes, I would.
It's changed your life.
Yes, like since I've been going in and out of the juvenile justice center, I probably spent like 4 years in there, just going in and out, being on house arrest. When they came along, they helped me get my life together. They helped me get IDs. They teaching me about credit, stuff that school don't teach us about. School don't teach us how to start businesses. They don't teach us how to buy a house. They don't teach us the stuff that we really need that's essential for living.
How would he know what school teaches him if he's in the juvenile justice center all the time?
Right. And are they okay? They're teaching him to buy a house. Are they teaching him how to earn the money to buy a house?
I bet they're teaching him how to open a nonprofit LLC.
Okay, here, let me get in on this grift.
Do you think this is a grift?
You know what? I don't want to.
Do you think he's learning how to work the system?
Yes. Yes, I do. Are they teaching him how to be independent? No. No, I'm not hearing that. I'm not getting that impression. Because to me, if you want to help fix these kids who've, gone off the path.
Kids.
Okay, yeah. Well, I can't. Nice because you know what, I'm on your show and I don't want to use the kind of language I normally use.
Use whatever. Look, you use whatever language you want. If someone doesn't like it, they can go to another fucking channel.
But I'm looking at this guy. I'm looking at other, these kids. I'm looking at these little ninjas, okay? And if you really, really want to help them, um, they're going to need some kind of a basic education. And I'm not even trying to go too far with that. And then get them in the damn trades. Get them a solid ass profession. Give them something to do. They ain't got shit to do. And that's the reason why they're getting into mayhem. They need to go to work. They need to learn what it is to be a productive human being. And quit scratching your ass. Actually get out there and do something. This is nonsense. There is real work to be done, and these kids absolutely have a place in the world, but everybody is directing them to bullshit. Look at this kid. Okay, he don't look like the sharpest light bulb in the chandelier, but
There's a better.
put in a program where he can make a living, a real living, a living in demand. Be a carpenter, be a plumber, do something.
Does he look like he's? I mean, he has nice clothes. His hair looks good.
Right. Who's paying?
Nails look manicured. Like, yeah.
Who's paying?
He looks well kempt. He looks like he's got clothes. I bet he has on designer shoes. So.
And somebody's. And I'm telling
There's
you,
even a. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
like I said, I got a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my son has zero sense of. My son dresses like the Red Cross gave him clothes. And so I'm still like doing things for him because he's still under my wing. Although we've got a program going on, and and he knows, hey, the gravy train's going to end. This is your timeline. This is what you're going to do, and that's just how your life is going to be. Yesterday I had to take my kiddo to the store to get a couple of outfits for job interviews.
Okay.
And I'm in the stores with him and I'm like, okay, you want to wear this and you want to wear this and you want to wear this. And he's like, he was like, kind of questioning me. I said, look, listen to me. This is white boy uniform shit. Khaki pants, blue button down Oxford shirt. That's a white boy uniform. You can go to a job interview. You can go for an afternoon, I don't know, date. I don't know, whatever. But this is white boy uniform and it works. And then we had another outfit. I'm like, this is what you wear. I said, if you want to do your own personal style, you want to do hip hop, which he doesn't. I'm like, you do that on your own time. But when you want to go out there and make some money and be taken seriously, this is what you wear. This is the white boy uniform.
Yeah. Do you know Eric, the hip hop preacher? Eric Thomas.
No.
There's a motivational speaker named Eric Thomas. He has a similar story like that. We have to go into that sometime. Let me finish this.
Yeah,
and we can go to the Baltimore one.
They teaching me about credit stuff that school don't teach us about. School don't teach us how to start businesses. They don't teach us how to buy a house. They don't teach us the stuff that we really need that's essential for living.
That's awesome. Thank God for what you're doing. How can we help? Where are you getting funds to do this?
We get private funds, we get donations, we have some city and federal and state contracts, but we always can use money. We spend an average on general services of $10,000 per young person. The more intensive services are about $25,000 a year.
So if our viewers want to donate to the cause, how do they do it?
Absolutely. Go to our website, www.yeahphilly.org,
Yeah.
and donate.
Awesome.
I think there's a good representation of what the divestment community talks about right here. Do you see this?
Mhm.
Do you see the way that she's sitting up with her hands folded and a little more at like proper posture? And do you see the way he's sitting just all slug over and shit?
Yeah, no one's teaching him, hey, when it comes to like you want to be paid attention to and you want to be taken seriously, this is the body language you need. This is the way you need to dress. This is the way you need to speak. Because this other, slumping down, chewing gum, blah, blah, blah. No one's ever going to take you serious. No one's ever going to take you serious. At least she's paying attention. She's trying. And he's
No,
like,
yeah.
he's,
Yeah.
no one's gonna take this young man serious. They're teaching him, but what are they teaching him? Oh, how to buy a house. Okay, before you teach him how to buy a house, how about you teach him how to earn the money to buy the house?
Right.
Okay, you're reaching past practical. You're into whimsy now. You're into hope and dreams. How about let's be practical? That's a 19-year-old kid. He needs to be out there earning his bread, not just earning his bread, but learning a skill so he can earn his bread for life. And
ADHD.
They're not teaching them that.
And just as this might be a horrible thing to say, but yeah, Philly, how many Asian or Indian kids do you think they help?
None. Maybe
Now,
some kids on the
some kids on the what? I'm sorry, you were.
maybe they're helping like some Latino kids on the periphery, but Asian, no, because the Asian community is mainly a closed community. The Indian community, look, they keep their foot in their kids' asses.
Yeah, that's right. I live in a 90+% Indian suburb.
Mm-hmm.
And I've told you this before. There are 2 black families that moved here, and I've actually talked to both the men in both the homes. So they're already an anomaly. In the one home, there's a white mother. So I guess that's a swirler. And then in the other home, one's from Brooklyn, one's from Baltimore. And they both said the same thing. They moved here to escape their community.
Yes.
One's from Brooklyn, one's from Bmore. And
who wants to live in hell?
Well, the only issue I have is when their friends or family visit. Is that going to lead to a fight?
Yeah, there is that. When they want to have like the barbecue.
Yeah. And I mean, I've talked. I guess the only reason they reached out to me and talked to me, both of them approached me. I'm not trying to. We have a pit bull. We have an 80-pound pit bull. That's not very social, which is perfect for me. I want. Someone tries to come in our house. I want a big dog barking at them because the dog is for 2 purposes. The dog tells me where the person is, and that tells me where to shoot if I have to castle doctor. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I guess you don't see a lot of. I guess they walked up to me because you don't see a lot of white guys in our neighborhood walking a pit bull with a pistol on their hip. You know what I mean? So both times I was approached by both the black men. And they were like, "Hey, man, where are you from? Oh, what are you doing here?" And I'm just like, "Oh, hi, yeah, how you doing? My name's, big time and blah, 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 blah." So, but you're right about the Indian community. They're more conservative, more male female roles. The boys look like boys. The girls look like girls. The children play together, you know, and I've watched them. I've watched them actually return stolen property to people. Like I saw 4 kids. They saw some kid drop something, and they ran 2 blocks to give it back to them. You know what I mean? I've seen that. So, and we've also had barbecue parties that had to have 911 called. So, you know, I don't know what to say. But anyway, let's. Speaking of people leaving their community, here's a Baltimore mom.
All right.
I'll ask your opinion, and there's one thing I want to point out that's similar to that last video.
Okay.
And again, I appreciate your time. Here we go.
Scott delivers his State of the City address tonight after a violent few days in Baltimore.
That's right. In just the past 24 hours, 6 people were shot in 3 different shootings. One of the victims died. 4 of those people were hurt in a single shooting along North Charles Street in North Baltimore today. Over the weekend, 4 young people ages 12 to 18 were shot. The 12-year-old victim, identified as Jalen Richards, died. And now we're hearing from one mother who says she pulled her son, who knew Jalen, out of the city to try to save his life.
People are lying to themselves, and it's very possible. I just told you my son had a Uzi. I'm not going to lie to the public. This is a crisis right now.
Mackenzie Frost spoke with that mother. We'll have her story coming up in a few minutes.
Jeff Abel has what the mayor said during a State of the City address tonight.
Our team coverage begins with key.
Do you give a fuck about what the mayor has to say, that real young guy?
No.
Or do you want to just go right to the mom?
Let's see what the mom has to say, because I think that, you know, maybe she's gotten to the point she's ready to speak some real truth.
Yeah, I think she's divested. Oh, this I hate this motherfucker. I hate this guy. Peterson, the fake. All right, the lady.
Night. Patty told us she tried to reach out to his mom to tell her what was going on with her son. Hawkins spoke with Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost in Hagerstown after she moved her son out of Baltimore City.
Look at why this is happening.
Sitting in a park some 70 miles outside of Baltimore City, Patty Hawkins talks about fights her son Khalil was getting into while going to and from school in Baltimore.
These kids are beefing over the game, and then you have other adults intervening in the situation, and they're instigating it.
She says Khalil was jumped and robbed. And that's when she first learned about Jalen Richards, the 12-year-old who was gunned down Saturday night in South Baltimore.
I went to Jalen's mom, and I said, your son threatened my son with a gun. My son is getting ready to turn 17. My son would really hurt your son.
What made you go to his mom?
Well, unless your son got shot, your son's not bulletproof. But I understand the sentiment. A 17-year-old physically can usually handle a 12-year-old, unless they're just totally inept.
About what?
Because, you know, these kids knocked my son out.
But things did not get better. They only escalated. One day, Hawkins says she got a call from her daughter who said Khalil had a gun at school.
I walked in there by myself and grabbed my son out of their school with an Uzi in his backpack.
Your son had a gun in his?
Yes, he went up to Douglas to shoot up like those kids. He was like,
Now I'm going to pause that. So, an Uzi, that's the word. Yeah, that's the word she used, Uzi. So we'll pull that up to. Now I don't know if she knows anything about firearms or anything, but she said Uzi. I don't know. Typically, when they refer to Uzi, this is an Uzi.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I don't know. Let's go to images. So this might be what she was talking about.
Okay, how does
essentially,
son get that kind of weaponry? Where did he get the money for that?
Right. I don't want to keep that on there too long in case someone takes my video way out of context.
Yeah.
But this is the part that I hate, which is, again, I hate to say this, but if you had a white kid who brought a fully auto gun to a school, Would this be on CNN?
You know, and
Right.
I'm looking at her, and the more she talks, at first I'm kind of thinking, oh, you know, she's had enough. She's going to get her kid out of there. Now I'm like, you know what? Leave your kid there. You get out, because I think your kid is part of the problem. Don't bring that bastard out here with the rest of us.
Yeah, those are the two things I want to point out. They don't ask him or her, well, where did he get it? And he had it in school. Why isn't he facing any charges? Right? She said, I went into the school and pulled my son out. He had an Uzi. And is her son in prison?
No, no, she's trying to move out of Baltimore. It seems like, okay, I haven't seen the rest of it. She wants to move out of Baltimore for, you know, for safety's sake, and bring him with.
Now again, let me extend the olive branch here. If a kid needs a gun to defend their life, but I got to be careful how I say that. So I'll use the instance of the shooting at the La Scalas right across from Community College of Philly. The dude's mom was being strong arm robberied by a black individual in his 30s, and her 14-year-old son pulled a gun out from behind the counter and shot him in the face. Something like that doesn't bother me because you're defending your family. It was a violent felony, right? It was a strong arm robbery. So that doesn't bother me. So if this kid was in another situation somewhere and he got jumped and he had to shoot kids to save his life, that doesn't bother. The age doesn't bother me. But in our current society and the way things are, if he didn't go to the police, he didn't, and I don't know how to answer it, because the school isn't going to do a thing. They're not going to do anything.
No.
So I'm seeing it like, what choice did he have? But in terms of way of legality, you can't, if you have a gun, I mean, this is just legal. You can't be the aggressor. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It has to be defensive. So, but I just wish they would answer that question. Where did you get it?
Where did he get that gun?
Right. That's my question. If it's because, again, the Democrats' answer seems to be these red flag laws, which are unconstitutional. The New York City Rifle Company versus Bruin decision already established that having to prove that you have the right to defend yourself to another human being is unconstitutional. And that's what a red flag law is. They just take your shit based off of a suspicion, and then you have to go to court and prove why you're allowed to have your shit, even though that's already been deemed wrong last year. Now, I'll try to give the kid some credit. If he felt that was his only option, what does that say about the school?
Yeah, what does it say about the school? What does it say about his entire environment?
Right.
And where's his daddy at, by the way?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a fair question too. That's what I want to know. Like these Democrats and Republicans, flag laws. This kid was 17. There's no way he'd pass a background check. So it's an illegal purchase. So a red flag law is useless in this case, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's all right. That's just what I'm pointing out. All right, my tangent's over. Keep going.
Okay, keep going, my friend.
All right.
They knocked him out and robbed him, all because he doesn't want to be in a gang.
Her son refusing to tell her where the gun came from. She turned it over to Baltimore police. and moved her son to Hagerstown. But before uprooting the family, Hawkins says she tried to meet with several parents of kids who were having problems.
Out of these 16, 7 of them are gone now. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing now. It's a crisis. I don't know how else to look at it.
But not much was done. Hawkins describing a lack of interest from some parents in their kids' lives.
This is getting crazy, and I'm recognizing that the parents care more about going out to clubs, partying. I've been pounding the streets with this situation with other parents.
That concern echoed Monday
This morning,
by Mayor Brandon Scott and City State's Attorney Ivan Bates.
we have adults in our city who are failing to set an example for our youth.
They're your children. You have to raise your children. We have to do our jobs as your leaders, but parents, we ask you to help us as you do your jobs as well.
But how to hold parents accountable for their kids and their actions remains the unanswered question. And one city leaders say they're digging into. Now, Hawkins says kids are being targeted by adults running gangs in circles in the city, especially after laws changed last year, shielding young kids from certain crimes.
I feel like they're prey to these predators, these drug dealers that are hanging out around the schools, because it's easier to have children sell drugs for you than you to get a charge yourself to sell drugs.
Coming from East Baltimore, Hawkins says she never imagined leaving the city, but the problems within Charm City still haunt.
So I'm still afraid. I'm afraid to come through the city.
Now calling Hagerstown home, Hawkins sits in a park with the sounds of kids playing in the background. While some young people in the city are not running around, playing and being kids.
You can't imagine one of them being a killer. I can. I really can.
Hawkins says this juvenile crime trend is a parent problem first, but she says city schools and police need to intervene when there are things going on to prevent this violence from escalating. In Baltimore, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
What do you think?
You know what? She's in a tough situation, but you know, and maybe she's trying to salvage her kid, from this culture. And I understand that. I understand when she was talking about how the drug dealers, they really do target young people to work for them. This happens everywhere. This happens in El Salvador. This happens in Chicago. It's happening there in Baltimore. They know that they can use these young kids, to sell drugs. And if the kids get caught, well, probably they won't get as harsh a sentence, and then the kids are also brainwashed that, they think that they're supposed to be loyal to this drug dealer, she's trying to salvage her kid, but I'm looking at her kid like her kid scares me.
Yeah.
Her kid freaking scares me. She got a 17-year-old who had an automatic weapon in his backpack at school. What if something jumped off? What if there was a riot? Was he going to take out his gun and spray everybody and call it self-defense?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Shooting into a crowd is not self-defense.
No, no. And nor is preemptively bringing a damn automatic weapon in your backpack to school. In case
that's why I was trying to be careful.
You're going to defend yourself.
Right.
So, I'm looking at her like, I don't know, sister. I feel for you, but I'm also looking at you like, you got some mammy tendencies. And
Side
that
eyes.
you got, that you dragging around, you're going to expose him. You're going to expose us to him by trying to escape Blackistan. I don't know. It's a quandary.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions I wish they had leaned into, but they don't. And I know Baltimore, I think it's a reflection of the leaders in the school as well, because Baltimore's trying to pass where they can't charge people under 25 with first-degree murder.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I wanted to ask you a question because I heard it like a second and I didn't hear anything more. Now, the
Yeah,
Biden
sure.
administration is trying to do something like that. They're trying to lessen the punishments for certain offenses, but the offenses they want to lessen the punishments for are serious offenses. I'm like, okay, Democrats, what? Just let mayhem reign upon us, right? Let crime, let it just be. What was that movie, The Purge? Let it just be The Purge, and nobody gets punished.
Oh, certain people will be punished if they're here, let me get this off my screen. Hang on. Let me get this yeah, there's something someone the guy I listen to who calls us the new kulaks. Do you know what the kulaks are?
No.
Kulaks.
Oh, kulak. I know what kulak. I used to wear kulaks.
I meant the people.
Oh.
Can you
My
see my
old self.
screen?
Yeah. Okay.
The kulaks were we are the new kulaks. In 1932, the Bolsheviks, who were I don't know if it was the RKVD or the Stasi, I don't remember. They were under the arm of the Russian under Stalin,
Mm-hmm.
but that's also debatable as well. I don't want to dive into that. They went into the Ukraine in 1932 and they committed what was called the Holodomor, a man-made famine where they just starved everybody. These German Mennonite soldiers and German Mennonite farmers. And Russia even created a fake propaganda film to hide what was happening, which I actually found the film. But he now calls American citizens the new kulaks. I haven't heard anything about that Biden thing, but if that is, that's terrifying.
I heard it. I heard it, and my head swiveled, and I was like, "What?" And then they just moved on, like they didn't want to talk about it. They just moved on to a different subject. But what they were saying was that the Biden administration was in favor of lessening the punishment for certain offenses, and some of the offenses were violent offenses.
From
And I
blacks and
thought,
trannies,
okay,
right?
hmm.
From blacks and trannies, right?
From what they didn't say, but I know the Biden administration just loves the transgender. Oh, they love the transgender. I was just speaking about this not on YouTube, but on another channel that I'm on, and I was saying, hey, they just had this vote in Congress where every single Democrat supported having biological men compete in women's sports.
Oh, the Protect Women's Act, or I don't
Yeah.
know that. Yeah, they just
Like, I'm like, every single Democrat is in favor of having biological men corrupt women's sports.
well,
So boys,
they have to destroy women's place in society.
and they are trying their very, very best. I mean, they're really trying. Uh, I was saying, it just feels like womanhood and motherhood is under attack. And of course, the poor children. We're going to have thousands of children who are going to be so messed up in the head. When this trend uh, finally like dies down.
It won't. I don't. I'm not seeing the pendulum swinging. If I'm going to be honest,
I don't.
they don't.
You know what? I see little peeps here and there, but you know what? It is like a wave. It is like a cultural wave. It is like a religious wave that they don't want to hear reason. It's just full steam ahead. And I really do. I feel so sorry for all the people who are going to be caught up in that meat grinder.
Speaking of meat grinder, here's the Black African Mayors Association conference. I wonder why there's not an Asian or Indian or I'm sure there's an APAC. I'm sure there's a small hats sort of thing like this. Why isn't there a European American Mayors Association conference? But here's what they have to say about crime. So there's Eric Adams and there's Lightfoot. No, there's Adams and there's Lightfoot. You ready?
As Democrats, if we do not speak the truth about violent crime in our city, we will be the worst for it. And I come to this conversation as a former federal prosecutor. I come to this as a former defense attorney. I am the sister of a returning resident, but I know that there are people in my city that are wreaking havoc every day and need to be off the street. That's reality. What do we say to not only the victims of crimes, but the people who are terrified about crimes in their neighborhoods, most of whom look like us? If we say, yeah, the police department is spending all this time and resources to arrest, put a case on, and then the judges and the prosecutors say, you know what, we're going to let you out on electronic monitoring to wreak havoc again. If somebody musters the courage to come forward and identify the person who had just shot up their neighborhood and then sees Pookie walking bold as day back on the street 2 days later, what does that say to them? You're telling them that the criminal justice system doesn't care about victims and witnesses. And if we don't call that out every single day with these prosecutors and with these judges, many of whom don't live in our city and don't care about what's happening, then we are going to lose an opportunity to advocate for the victims and the witnesses and the residents who just want and deserve peace.
And let's see. But then I think he played a comparison.
The business experts and the crime experts that I talk to say that downtown Chicago has already reached the tipping point. You have
Get your questions, sir. We go through this every single time that you call.
The Palmer House.
I don't need a speech. What I need is your question. If you're going to ask a question,
Absolutely.
ask it. If you're not going to ask it, then we're going to be done and take a picture.
The Palmer House is already in foreclosure. Other historic downtown hotels foreclosure. We have business owners that are shortening their hours because their workers are afraid to work after dark. You went on a taxpayer-funded This is a very important question. It's a very important question. Chicagoans are asking me to ask you. Absolutely.
You don't get to give a 5-minute speech.
Well,
every single time.
I've sat here for an hour or two listening to speeches. I don't understand why. This is a question that the people of Chicago want to ask.
You said Lightfoot wasn't given a chance to do her job. You were saying that?
No, this is what I'm saying. Okay. She came in and she had issues to deal with that no other mayor in Chicago ever had to deal with. At least not many years. We haven't had widespread riots and all the rest of this stuff in Chicago in many years. Okay.
So you mean Kim Foxx? That's what you mean. You mean your district attorney who stopped punishing kids?
She's in direct opposition with Kim Foxx. But she came in and every time she said something like what she just said, she got shut down because nobody wants to hear that. I know the reason why the Palmer House shut down, which is an old hotel in Chicago, beautiful old hotel. It shut down because of COVID, because downtown Chicago was dead for 2 years and there was no business. And if you don't make money, you close down.
Please keep going. I'm going to pull up a picture of the Palmer House.
Okay. It wasn't because of crime. It was because there was zero business. Downtown was a ghost town. Okay. I'm not going to blame that on her because the whole damn city was shut down. I'm saying, as a mayor of Chicago, The job was too big for her. There were too many big problems she could not have anticipated, and she had no cooperation with. And some of it, I swear, some of it was like an act of God. What do you do when your city is shut down, the business districts, everything is shut down, and then the kids start to run wild? We had a crime wave that was like ridiculous here in Chicago, and it was all these damn kids running wild. So no, it wasn't her. It was circumstances, but it's easy to blame her because she's an unpleasant little woman. And she had next to zero cooperation. She came in like an outsider. Everybody hated her. All of these big issues happened. She couldn't handle it. She couldn't get a grasp of it because it was just too big. And now she's out, and the person that they've got coming in there, they're going to run over him like nobody's business. You might as well put my son in there.
I heard Kim Fox texted. I heard Kim Fox reached out to Lightfoot after she said what she said and told her to shut her mouth.
Yeah,
I'm trying to find that.
Kim Fox is a world-class mammy. World class.
Did you hear about the kid who's dead? Did you hear that she charged the kids who stole that car and killed that baby with criminal mischief?
That's it? Criminal mischief?
Here,
she is a world-class mammy. She will let these ninjas run rampant. They will run wild if it's up to her. We will all be in danger if it's up to Kim Fox. This is one of the mammies that when they talk about on other shows, she's one of the ones who will help you hide the body. She'll help the ninjas hide the body and justify it afterwards.
Let me see here, Kim Fox. It's actual justice warrior.
Justice for who?
No, that's the.
Oh,
that's the channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here. Actual justice warrior. He covered this. So did Og Nation News cover this too. Here it is. Criminal DA charges baby killers with trespassing. So now I feel like we're using other people's stuff, but yeah, we'll have to cover that another time, but just because of time. But I appreciate you coming on.
Hey, no problem. You done got me fired up, man.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Hey, look, I'm here for it.
Let me will you be around tomorrow? Or this week?
I won't be around tomorrow because I'm doing doubles back to back. But Wednesday I will. I'm coming up for air Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Or the rest of the week. I'm good the rest of the week. I'm doing all my I'm doing my grind early in the week.
All right, let me would you be interested still talk to that Canadian liberal? What he says about
sure,
Chicago?
Yeah, I haven't spoken to a liberal in a minute.
Okay. All right. He was saying again, the Republicans are the reason for Chicago.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I was just like, I got the perfect person you got to talk to. So,
the Democrats here, we got our own thing. We can be corrupt on our own. We don't need the Republicans coming in. We don't need them to be our boogeyman. We can be our own boogeyman. We're very capable of spreading shit ourselves.
You're not kidding, man. So, it just seems like the uniparty. In any case,
I don't trust any of them, to be honest. I don't trust any of them. I see the flaws on both sides, and I feel like I'm stuck in the middle. I'm like, okay, on this issue, I'm going to lean this way with this party. On this issue, maybe I'm going to lean this way. But I'm more and more and more, I'm looking at the Democratic Party and I'm seeing how incredibly corrupted they are. And how they feel so self-righteous. They think they're doing good, and I think that they're corrupt. So yeah, bring on Mr. Canadian liberal.
All right. Hopefully Wednesday. I'll try to see if he's in a chaotic chat today. I'll see what he's doing. But thank you
Okay,
again so
sounds good.
much.
All right, no problem, no problem.
All right.
Talk to you soon, big time. All
I'll
right.
talk to you Wednesday, Wicked. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.
All right. Later.